Hi, welcome to this new video. This is the last episode for the first season of my story. In this video, I'll put you up to speed with a quick summary of the previous episodes. If you already are aware of all the crazy things that happened, you can skip after 6 minutes of this video to start episode 8. Once again, thank you so much for the support. Comment down below if you'd like to hear about me again in a second season. My name is Milton, and my story is crazier than a roller coaster journey. My dad wanted a girl, so he raised me like one, making my childhood an absolute nightmare. When I was old enough, though, I rebelled and refused to listen to my dad. Both of my parents had it out against me since forever. My mom enrolled me in a different school where education quality was poor. She wanted to make me a failure in life. I jeopardized all their attempts, though, and self-studied, being careful to hide everything from my family. My efforts and hard work finally paid off, and I became a successful entrepreneur in secret. Meanwhile, my family was under a lot of debt by now, so much so that they became homeless. Even though they had wronged me in every way, I took pity on them and allowed them to move in with me. Not the best decision of my life, I'll admit. Things took a complete 180-degree turn when everyone found out how rich and successful I was. I was suddenly very popular in my college, and with my family. Of course, my whole family turned out to be shameless gold diggers asking me to pay for their stuff. My sisters, on the other hand, started doing weird things that creeped me out. They apparently had a crush on me. I started fake dating Kristen, the most popular girl in the college, to keep my sisters away. Kristen was a heartbreaker and dates guys for their money. Yeah, gold digger alert once again. I was at Kristen's house one day when I saw that she had received a text from my sister, Natalie. They were planning something for me and wanted me at their sleepover party. At the sleepover party, I pretended to pass out to hear their plan. They were talking about my credit card and getting my secrets out of me. They were going to do this by getting me drunk on Kristen's birthday. Meanwhile, one of my sisters, Tina, plotted along with the others. They thought that I received question papers from the professor, and that's why I scored high grades on exams. I overheard them planning to steal stuff from my bag. I deliberately made a fake question paper and placed it inside his bag. Thus, Tina ended up stealing the fake question paper and failed her exam. She dropped out of college from humiliation. I decided to help her and enrolled her in one of my online courses. I also forgave her, and both of us reconciled. Kristen's birthday party was about to be celebrated in my house. I set up cameras in my room in advance. On the day of the party, I accepted the drink from them and pretended to be drunk. They took me to my room and asked for my credit card. They stole everything and were about to leave when Natalie stopped and came to me. She told me that she genuinely cared about me and stuff, but my success had messed with her head. I canceled my plan to expose them and decided to adopt a different approach instead. Another regretful decision that I made. I pretended to have lost all my money, and they left me alone. I was no longer popular in college because they spread the rumors about me losing everything. Despite all this, one girl called Melissa approached me, and we instantly clicked. We started going out. I was invited by James, my best business partner, to a club. However, my sisters were also present there, and James blew up my cover in front of them. Amidst all this, Melissa arrived too, and turned out she was James's sister. When Melissa found out that I lied to her, she broke up with me and asked James to cancel all the business deals with me. Since James was influential in the business world, other clients and investors of mine withdrew their support too, and my company experienced downfall after downfall. Meanwhile, I received hate mails disguised as love letters from my sisters. They left no opportunity to mock and taunt me. I had to soon liquidate my home and my assets and rent a one-bedroom apartment, surviving on instant noodles every day. I saved every single penny, and also applied for jobs. I was hired as an intern by a bank, and worked tirelessly to get promoted and rise up the ranks. Within a year, I became one of the bank's partners and appeared on social media and TV, newspapers, etc. My sisters took notice, and I received a phone call from them. It seemed like they were trying to get on my good side now that I was successful again. Meanwhile, another partner of the bank, Beth, entered the office to invite me to the Gala Night, where many distinguished people are going to be present. But my ex-partner, ex-girlfriends, and sisters were also present there. They tried turning Beth against me, but it failed. To be on the safe side, I told everything about my past to Beth. By the end of the night, I saw Natalie walking out with the founder, aka the big boss of the bank. Next day in the office, I received a weird love letter that ended in a threat from my sisters. Soon enough, I received a call from the founder. I was fired. I just felt so numb now that I collapsed down in the corner of a sidewalk. Beth found me there and brought me to her place. She motivated me and gave me the idea to work without partners now and build a strong customer base. Beth and I came up with a solid plan. There were 3 phases to our plan. 1, exposing the founder's true nature and criminal record to everyone so that Beth could take over his position. I used my influence over the media to achieve this, and got the police reports to leak in the news. The founder had no choice but to step down, and Beth replaced him. 2, I was going to launch my own cryptocurrency and integrate with the bank and connected devices to make it easier to use. 3, I was also going to step into politics so that I was covered against my sister's future evil plans. I achieved everything and was just about to launch my company when my sisters started making appearances on TV. They wanted to be on my good side once again now that I was in a position of power. I ignored them, and my sisters didn't take this in a good way.
Our love for Milton is really deep, Natalie said. Like, you can't even imagine what he means to me. Yes, this goes beyond just the love between 2 siblings, Penny said. It's not limited to platonic love. I almost gagged. What were they trying to suggest? The interviewer asked them the same question. Look, Milton loves us as more than his sisters, Natalie answered, and this has been the case since he was in college. In the beginning, we were shocked and completely against it, Penny continued. Revolted even, but Milton was just so persistent. Yeah, he never had a girlfriend, you see, Natalie added, and he was hungry for love and attention. Naturally, he turned to us for that, and he was just so persistent. As his sisters, we had a soft corner for him and couldn't really deny him anything, Penny said. So, we agreed to love him back. What about his current girlfriend, then? The interviewer asked. Oh, she is just to keep up appearances, Natalie laughed. Of course, he is at such a position now where he has to cover up for his mistake. He still loves us, though, and frequently contacts us. That Beth girl is just for pretenses. Poor girl. But I think she was desperate for his attention and a share in his money, so she accepted whatever she could get from him. Yeah, our brother is so kind, you see, Penny nodded. He doesn't have the heart to refuse anyone. What the actual freaking heck? Had they just lost their last brain cells or something? This was just plain disgusting. How did their conscience even allow them to say such stuff? And why were they dragging Beth into this? They were trying to ruin my reputation, definitely. But did they really have to go that far to do that? I didn't know whether any of the viewers believed them or not, but there was no time to damage control. It was the company launching dinner the next day. It was a pretty big affair, and all the media houses were going to be present. This event was mainly for the launch of my cryptocurrency and its promotion, but now it seemed like I was going to be questioned on my personal life. I took a deep breath to compose myself. I could handle it. I had to handle it. I would answer everyone's question honestly, and everything was going to be okay. People believed me, right? They had seen me exposing so much wrong and injustice on the TV. They ought to have some amount of faith in me. I guess Beth watched the whole interview on our way back home, too. That's why she almost barged inside the house and rushed to me with a concerned look. I saw the whole thing, she said frantically. Are you okay? I nodded. I am okay, but what about you? They said such disgusting things about you. I'm so sorry, Beth. You were dragged in all of this because of me. She shook her head. I really don't care about what they said. I know my truth for myself, and no one's lies can affect me. Let them have fun. Truth always comes out in the end. For now, all that matters is you and I trust each other, and don't develop a misunderstanding because of anyone. I pulled her in a hug. Of course I trust you, more than anyone in this world. I'm so thankful for you, Beth. Me too, she replied before pulling away to meet my eyes. Are you confident about tomorrow? I sighed. I don't know. There will be questions about this whole drama that Natalie and Penny have created, and you know how interested people are in everyone's personal life. She nodded. How are you going to deal with it? I shrugged. I will just say the truth as it is. There's nothing else I can do. They have to believe my word for it, just as they heard every nonsense story that Natalie said. And besides, we don't know if anyone actually believes them. You were right, Beth replied. Those two are mostly clowning themselves by doing these ridiculous things. I will lose my trust in the human intellect if anyone actually believes them. I couldn't help but laugh at that. It was quite funny when she put it like that. And, well, what can I say? She was right too, but as for me, I'd lost my trust in the human intellect a long time ago, when James and Melissa believed my sisters over me without even listening to what I had to say. I was trying to completely chill out about the next day. But in reality, I was really scared. I couldn't sleep the whole night. Whenever I closed my eyes, I had nightmares about Natalie and Penny. Yep, now my sisters had simply been reduced to my worst nightmares. I kept on thinking about the next day for the whole night. I even prepared the possible questions and answered in my head. I was prepared to face everything that would be thrown my way. The next day, Beth and I went to the venue together and monitored all the arrangements ourselves. By nighttime, everything was set and we were just waiting for the press now. But hours passed and no one came. Are you sure it was supposed to have happened today? I asked Beth for the millionth time. We're not making any mistakes, are we? No, we are not, she replied. They should have been here long ago. The weird thing is that none of the media houses are responding to my calls or texts. My heart started beating loudly in my chest. Something was really wrong here. Why was no one coming? This was a scheduled event, and I doubted that the media would portray this level of unprofessionalism. Suddenly, the doors opened, and Beth and I stood up. Oh, thank God, they are finally here, Beth said. Were they trying to prank us or something? I breathed. How come they're so late? We waited for the reporters to enter, but instead, there was a loud bang, and then Natalie and Penny entered through the doors. They started walking inside as if they were some celebrities, and then tons of cameramen and reporters stormed in after them, following the both of them. It was like they were some sort of superstars, and everyone was dying to get a shot of them. What the heck? The reporters were literally fighting each other to get the attention of my so-called sisters, and no one cared about Beth or me, standing in a far corner watching them. I almost had a heart attack, but Beth grabbed my hand to steady me. Let's go and see what's going on. She pulled me towards the crowd of a reporter. We tried to get their attention, but no one was ready to listen to us. We were pushed and shoved around for a while before I finally managed to grab the shirt of one of the reporters and pulled him aside. He glared at me. What's your problem, man? Can you tell me what's going on there? I gestured towards the crowd. You don't know? He exclaimed. Those girls are the most famous celebrities in the world right now. They grabbed the attention of media overnight and the whole day today. They had been giving interviews and stuff. It's so hard to get even a decent picture of them. Do you live under a rock? How can you ask me such questions? And then the reporter went back into the crowd, while I was left there standing dumbfounded. Before I could process anything, the commotion suddenly stopped, as Natalie commanded, "Silence!" The crowd parted and she directly met my eyes, giving me a smug smile. "It's time to hunt my prey," she declared, maintaining eye contact with me. It has been a crazy journey, with a weird sort of power struggle between me and my sisters. I've been through a lot in just a matter of a few years, and a lot of things changed. But what remained constant was my sisters and their over-the-top, toxic, and harmful obsession for me. Before I continue my story from the point where I left it, please subscribe to the channel to show your support to me. It would mean a lot. Now, if you remember, in my last video, I mentioned about the dinner party that I was throwing for the media before the launch of my cryptocurrency. But the party turned into a complete disaster because my sisters entered like celebrities with all the cameras flashing on them. A reporter told me that they had rose to popularity overnight, and everyone was crazy about them. Now, I had no idea as to what happened within the matter of one night that changed everything, but I was determined to find it out. The launch of my cryptocurrency, however, had to be inevitably postponed because I couldn't take the risk. there were high chances of failing with the kind of atmosphere that my sisters had created. Before leaving that dinner party, Natalie had cornered me, obviously to brag about her newfound fame. "Milton, I think you would love to know that our dearest parents are in the town right now, and they oh so graciously agreed to help out their children in need," she smirked. "Thanks to them, all these news channels are after me today. I knew that I could always rely on Mom and Dad as the last measure." I had quietly left after that, because I had no idea what she was talking about. After returning to my house, I started investigating and found out that my parents had been interviewed by a news channel. They had spouted lies upon lies and made me look like a villain. "Milton has always been a bit bratty since he was born," my dad was saying. "We gave him everything he wanted, yet he never appreciated us." "Yes, thank goodness that my daughters were quite mature," Mom continued. "Natalie and Penny were always studious and excelled in everything they did. Their teachers went as far as to call them the geniuses of the century. I was amazed at how they were lying to the camera, without even flinching. Really, my family deserved an award for all of the drama they had been pulling since my birth." "But if I'm not wrong, then, it was your son who was the genius, right?" the interviewer asked in confusion. "Didn't he create an online platform for college courses at a very young age? And recently he was all over the news for his social and political achievements." Mom and Dad shared an uncomfortable look. "Actually, I shouldn't be saying this about my own son, but Milton has always been quite an odd child," Dad replied. "He lacked any talent of his own and always stole his sister's idea for school projects and assignments. The online platform you were talking about was created by my genius daughter, Natalie. But Milton cleverly stole it too. And my poor daughter is so forgiving and loving towards her brother that she let it go. She didn't even ask him to give her credit for her work," Mom added. "I see," the interviewer said. "Miss Natalie must really love Milton a lot to make such a sacrifice of her hard work. Come to think of it, she did allude to something in her previous interviews. She said that their relationship is more than that of just siblings. Since you are the parents, you must be aware of what's really going on." Dad cleared his throat. Actually, about that, I'm quite ashamed to say this, but Milton has always been attracted towards his sisters. He started acting strangely after joining high school. He always used to say how much he liked his sisters and would never leave their sides. It was only later that we found out that he actually liked them in a romantic way." "Yes, my daughters were so uncomfortable with this," Mom continued gravely. "But, as you already know, they're so caring towards their brother, so they didn't reject him and let him live in his fantasies. Lastly, I would like to add that every single one of Milton's achievements is actually his sister's hard work. He's always been clever enough to steal his sister's brilliant ideas and make them his own. Even now, the rumored cryptocurrency was Natalie and Penny's idea. They worked hard over years to come up with it. But, Milton, it just... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm ashamed to speak anymore. If only our son had put that scheming brain in coming up with his own ideas," Mom sniffled. I switched off my laptop after that, and took deep breaths to calm myself down. So, this is what they did to slander my name. My family had rendered me speechless many times in the past. But this was just enough to send me into a coma. I mean, seriously, what the heck? At this point, they didn't even deserve to be called monsters. They'd created their own category of evil now. Beth came running inside my room. "Milton, did you see the interview? Hey, are you okay?" I slowly turned my head to look at her. "Beth, I think it's time to reunite with my dear parents." "What are you saying? Why would you talk to them?" she asked in shock. "So that I can make them clean up the mess they've created," I replied. "I'll ask just one favor, Beth. Please distract my sisters tomorrow, so that I can talk to my parents in peace." She nodded. "Leave it to me. I know how to get their attention. I'll invite them over for lunch to an expensive restaurant and pretend to sympathize with them after watching this trash interview." While Beth dealt with my sisters, I invited my parents to have lunch with me. They had rejected my offer in the beginning, but I was persistent, and they had no option but to comply. We don't want to see your face anymore. Why did you call us here? Mom asked bitterly, glancing around the house. Her eyes were shining greedily at all the luxury. I scoffed. Some people could never change. Come now, Mom and Dad. Aren't you happy to see your precious son after all these years? I beamed and gestured for them to sit on the sofa.
We know that you despise us, so cut the act, Dad said. Why did you call us here?
I took a seat in front of them. As far as I knew, both of you had left the city and were working as part-timers. Why did you come back? Because Natalie offered to look after us in our old age, Mom said. Of course, we couldn't expect something like that from you. Your life has always been about money and fame and kicking your only family members away.
Will you look at that now? I shook my head.
It seems like you've been lying so much that you started believing your own made-up stories. Did you forget the time when I became your savior and allowed you to live in my house? Even though that one decision caused me years' worth of trouble and pain, I was still somewhat satisfied to have helped you guys. But you clearly don't deserve my consideration.
So what? As our son, that was your duty! How can you be so arrogant about it? Dad exclaimed.
Don't you think you have some duties as my parents as well? I leveled them with a glare. My blood is still boiling after watching that bloody interview that the two of you gave. But, thankfully, I have mastered the art of patience after dealing with all your pathetic antics over the years. So, I will give you one last chance to redeem yourselves. Mom gasped. Are you threatening us right now?
I am,
I replied calmly. If I want, I can even ruin you over with a flick of my fingers. You know I can, after all. Don't you know how my mind works? Both of them gulped and shared a fearful look. Good. This is what I was aiming for. Man, mind games were honestly fun, especially when it came to my family. So, tell me, how much did Natalie pay you to spout all that nonsense? I leaned forward. I'll pay you twice as much for doing as I say, and then disappearing from the country. What do you want us to do? Mom stuttered. You will give another interview, I said.
If you think that we'll take back everything that we said yesterday, then you're mistaken, Dad declared.
Oh, you don't have to do that, I replied. Just let everyone know that you have another son, and that you gave him up for adoption because you wanted a daughter. But you had the opportunity to reunite with that son lately. What? Are you crazy? Mom shrieked. Funny how she found this crazy when she had done worse things. Think about it. I'll give you a lot of money, and I'll also make sure that you live comfortably for the rest of your lives. Just do me the favor of disappearing of my life after this interview. After contemplating for a few minutes, they agreed to my offer. I knew it. Who else could recognize their greedy nature better than me? With Beth's help, I arranged an interview for my so-called parents. Thankfully, Natalie didn't suspect anything. She was too busy getting mobbed by the reporters at the moment. But soon, her world was going to come crashing down on her. I knew what I had to do now. I was going to eradicate every threat in my life one by one. It had to be in such a way that they would never even think about interfering with me again. I had a long list of people to take care of, starting from my parents to my sisters, then my former fake girlfriend Kristen, and lastly, James and Melissa. My parents gave the interview as per the deal, and boarded the next flight to leave the country forever. Meanwhile, everyone was in shock from what my parents had just revealed. And now, it was time for me to bring my long-lost fake brother into the picture, and target my precious sisters, Natalie and Penny.